One of the most exciting Marvel announcements coming out of D23 this past weekend was Moon Knight getting his own series on Disney+. At D23, Kevin Feige described Moon Knight as an action-adventure series, but listed off everything that fans of the character were hoping to hear. He said, quote, "Mark Spector was a mercenary who was left for dead in the Egyptian desert, but resurrected and infused with powers from the moon god Khonshu, or he may just be crazy." Fans of the character will know that Mark Spector leads many different lives and has different personalities that he puts on to hide the fact that he is Khonshu's blade at night. For years, fans have wanted to see Moon Knight get the live-action treatment, and it is pretty reassuring that it's going to be within the MCU for a long-form series before spinning off into the larger films. We've heard that Doctor Strange 2, subtitled In the Multiverse of Madness, will be the MCU's first scary movie, delving more into the horror aspects that director Scott Derrickson has a sensibility for. But we feel that Moon Knight should also lean into that. In this video, we'll explore a couple connections that Moon Knight has to Blade and, surprisingly, Black Panther. Moon Knight's deity is Khonshu, who exists in the same pantheon and is actually the brother of Bast from Black Panther. The series can explore more of the spirit world that we caught a glimpse of in Black Panther and interactions with said deities. It'd be pretty interesting to see internal struggles that Moon Knight, Mark Spector, has with Khonshu. In terms of supernatural characters, Moon Knight has a long-standing history with Dracula, who also regularly interacts with Blade, who we know is getting a movie starring Mahershala Ali. The Moon Knight series could easily backdoor into more supernatural elements of the MCU, with characters like vampires, werewolves, and much more appearing. It was recently rumored that Jack Russell, aka Werewolf by Night from Marvel Comics, would be appearing in an upcoming MCU project, and Moon Knight would make a ton of sense. Russell was originally a pivotal part of Moon Knight's original origin story, and he fought against him during his first appearance in the comic books. I personally would love to see Moon Knight also explore psychological traumas and dissociative identity disorder, because that's something that recently Moon Knight has had to deal with in the comic books, especially the runs by Jeff Lemire. I'm assuming at first we'll get Moon Knight in his more traditional sense and form with his hooded and cloaked costume, and then perhaps somewhere down the line we can get introduced to Mr. Knight, which is the character that Warren Ellis had introduced, and he was in the more recent comic books sporting a suit with a mask over his face. But what are your guys' thoughts on this? Are you excited to get Moon Knight in the MCU and have the potential for all of these connections that I talked about, like with Black Panther, as Khonshu is related to Bast, and the fact that Moon Knight could backdoor tons of supernatural characters that we could eventually see in Blade? And like I previously mentioned, Doctor Strange is actually part of a supernatural group in the comics called the Midnight Suns, which does include Blade, Ghost Rider, and Moon Knight, among others. So there's certainly a chance to eventually cross over all three of the characters that I mentioned in this video. It's certainly an interesting time for the MCU as we move into the more otherworldly, supernatural, weirder elements that Marvel Comics fans have known for years. Drop your thoughts down below. What are you most excited to see in the Moon Knight series? And for all things Marvel and pop culture, be sure to subscribe to HN Entertainment.